Hey, this is Jack Down's little video about the banner exercise, and we may get into the issue of embeds also. So assuming you have the handout and have it handy, then you could refer to it once in a while, or you just play along with me. You'll see there's two files to download. They're really just copies of the same thing, and they're really just a little piece of file similar to what you used before. It's actually an older piece, but it doesn't really matter. You could just as easily use the floating and Flexbox file that we had from a while ago, or something like that. This is what it looks like if you download it. There's banner 1, banner 2. You would name them with your names and put them in a folder. Keep the folder handy, know where it is. We're going to view the current file in Chrome, and it's just a little chunk of stuff like this. Okay, good. We're going to put some different banners here. You see right now it says your name here, so let's change that. And let's go ahead and put your name there. And I'll put my name there. And of course that's the H1. And the idea is, what if you don't want to have some regular kinds of type in your H1? Maybe you'd like to have something special. It could be a script or some kind of novelty type or some other kind of type that we can't depend on getting from a font stack, which is a normal way we get fonts. Your two choices then are, you could use a web font, which you can read about in your text, and we've actually done one earlier, web fonts, like getting a font from Google. You still need to put it in a stack in case something goes wrong and it's not available. So you've lost some control, but it's not. It moves pretty fast. The fastest thing is the regular font stack. Web font still has to use a script. What we're talking about here is, now you've decided you're going to turn it into an image. And because it's an image, it's going to slow down the page a little bit. It's yet another image, but it's not going to be a really super big one. So let's go ahead and make the image. We're going to make two different images. We'll make one, and then we'll do some more stuff to it. We'll end up with two copies. I'm using Photoshop, which, as I've told you before, I'm not a Photoshop expert, so I'm sometimes slow about things. And they keep changing these versions too. Okay, so the numbers that we need are on your sheet here, and we want a width of 960 pixels. It's on pixels. If it's something else, change it. It's supposed to be pixels. And the height, we're just going to make this 150. Very horizontal thing, and the orientation will be horizontal. I don't know if we had to do that. I think it was going to naturally happen. Resolution, let's make it 72, which is a normal web resolution. RGB is fine. Background is very, very important. You choose transparent. The rest of this we can ignore, and we can just say create. And we have an extremely horizontal block, like you could imagine at the top of your page. So now we're going to make some text. I click on the text tool here, right? Horizontal text tool, as it's called. And what are we going to do here? I want to choose something pretty big. Oh gosh, I'll start with 72. I'll probably end up going to 150. And I'm going to click in here and type my name. And you do yours. Oh no, I'm typing in white. I might as well pick the color right now also, okay? Got this stupid bar in my way here. Get that out of the way. Okay, so what kind of color are we going to choose? We could have done this just before before we started to type it. We'll make it a little bit easier. It doesn't matter though, right? I want you to pick an interesting color. Of course, in the real world, if you're doing this for your resume, you pick a color that worked well or was part of your color scheme. And I'm going to say I think the purpley color is okay, but I want to make it pretty dark too. All right? Sure. Maybe not quite that dark. Maybe I want to still see the purpley. Okay, good. Something like that. So I'll say okay. Pretty dark, because you're imagining this is on a lighter background, but still some color. And you can change the slider around to pick whatever color you want. And always pause this video to spend some more time picking your color. So what about the font? I have a weird font here. Excuse me. Getting over a cold. A weird font that is kind of an odd script. But it's true, though, that you do want, if you're going to do this, you would not want to use just a plain, regular kind of serif or sans serif font. You wouldn't do this to do Arial or to do Times, for instance, because you just use a font stack for those. So it's because you want something different or interesting. Blackadder might be a little bit too different. I'm going to see what else do we have here. I think that brush would be a nice one. It's a kind of a script, but you could go through and choose anything you want. I think some other options would be some interesting things that are like Broadway regular. That would definitely be something. That would be a novelty type. So script or novelty types, go through them, find what you want, whatever. You do what you want. I'm going to do brush. Now, whatever font you choose, the numbers you use for the size are going to be different because they act differently. I'm going to go to 150 and see that my brush, go back to my regular selection tool, that's really about as big top and bottom as I want. Have it roughly filling the box, have a little extra space is fine. So adjust till you get it like that. But the problem is, unless you've chosen a type where it's just very horizontal, chances are you got a lot of space on one side or the other. So I'm going to move it up pretty much most all on one side here. I have my regular selection tool, my box is selected. If I just grab here though, the problem is the whole thing gets bigger. Let's see if I try Control T. Yeah, that brought up my handles, but again, my X and my Y are locked. I'm going to try to unlock them right here. See my little lock here? I unlocked it. Maintain aspect ratio. It's so hard to tell these if they're locked or unlocked. But if you get it eventually by clicking a little piece of chain there, a little link there, you'll have it unlocked, and then you can grab one end and just yank it out here, right? So I'm essentially just stretching the type, which is not what any type designer would like, but too bad there's no type designers here. Okay, what else could I do? Well, let's use my regular selection tool again, and I'm going to go to, now I've got my little video in the way, great. Okay, I'm going to go to the layers here, layers panel, right, good. And I'm going to select the layer. Yes, it is selected already. Okay, good. Make sure it's selected. And I'm going to go down here under FX, which is Special Effects. And I'm going to choose one. If I choose one, they will all come up. So I'll just choose Bevel and Emboss. And I get a Bevel and Emboss menu. And I have a lot of other choices here too. And I see my preview is already on. And I actually see that it actually has done something already to my type. It has made it give this little three-dimensional look, which is kind of nice. Maybe you want that. You can leave it on if you do. You could play with any of these. Take some time, pause the video. I'm going to add a drop shadow. I could play with the drop shadow to make it darker or lighter, or change the angle and so on. You do what you want if you wish. Do it as much or as little you want. Okay, I'm just going to say okay to that though. So take your time. Pause the video. Okay, so this is really the completed banner for the first part. So I'm just going to go File. I'm going to do, I could do Save As and choose PSD, which is not a choice. Well, what do I do? Whenever you don't see the file format choices you want, do Save a Copy. You can go back and start over again, or there's usually a button that says Save a Copy. And I want PNG, that's what I want, PNG. Of course, we have multiple levels of transparency. So I'm going to choose PNG, and you got to give it an interesting name. I could have given it a name on that other menu here. I could have given it a name when I started. I probably should have. But I'll give it a name right now. I'm going to call it Text 26 for this year, so I remember what year this is, I suppose. But you could, using the idea of text or something, give it a short name so you remember what it is, though. And now I'm going to go put it in my folder with my HTML documents, which you have to remember where it was. Mine's in downloads right now for some reason. I'll save it there. Okay, and sure, that button's fine. Go back to here's my document, and let's go ahead and add it in here. So we're going to load the image into the image tag. So I already have an image tag right here, an idea banner, src. Okay, so this is right below my h1. So we're going to say it was txt, yours is different, -26. I think that's what I did, .p. NG, right? Let's see if that worked. And yes, it did. Okay, good. All right, so we need to set the width and then centering in CSS. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. So in the CSS, we're going to use the header div and auto, as the instructions say. Here is the header div, which goes around. It's an ID with it. It's a div with an ID of header, the old-fashioned way of doing it. So we can go ahead and give it a width. And we could say 960. And with width, if we do a margin of auto, that will make the centering happen. Let's view this. So now it is centered. All right. Now here's the problem. We've got jack downs and jack downs. So what should we do? We should just delete the H1, right? No, we should not. If on your resume you choose to use a banner, which is optional, just deleting the H1, you would get a deduction for that because you want the H1 to be there for SEO because that it's an important search engine optimization for keywords and for the way it shows up and being searched for, right? So what do? Well, we have this thing has an ID of banner. We could tell the banner to display none. It's still there for the search engines, but it's not visible when the page is viewed. Oops. Whoops, wrong one. Sorry. No, we don't want that. We're not going to do that to the banner. We're going to do the H1. I forgot that. Nope. The H1. There we go. Okay, good. So we're not using the hashtag banner right now, so we're going to save and do that. Okay, good. Now we have got that and not the other thing there. So that's how you could do just a transparent banner, which is probably, if you were going to do a banner, the route you would go. Now your question for yourself would be, don't you need to make a different one for your education page and for your whatever? Ideally, yes. You'd do a jack downs for this would be for your index, and then you do one for your education page, name, and then a pipe character, and then the topic, and you do one for each one, ideally. And different one on different pages. And then maybe you make a little folder just for the banners. And then you'd have to have the relative paths for it. Good. So let's continue, shall we? So we're back in Photoshop. This is still an untitled document, which does not follow the directions I gave you, but it's okay. We're going to make give it a gradient, just adding more stuff. Probably clutter that you don't want, but anyway, at least you can see how to do this. Oh, and I'm trying to remember also, because I haven't done this in a while. So we're going to make a new layer and uncheck the layer with your text. Okay, good. So here's the layer with the text. We're going to tell it to be invisible. And we're going to make a new layer. New layer. There it is. And whatever. These choices are all fine, I think. Okay, good. And that layer is on top. Okay, good. So choose a new layer, uncheck the layer with your text. We did uncheck it, so now we're just looking at the new layer. In the new layer, choose a gradient tool, and okay, yes. So the gradient tool is way down here. No, that's not it. Sorry, the gradient tool is right there. It is a rectangular that has like a gradient thing on it. So we click on it, and then we'll see we have like some colors chosen here, and we have a kind of like a style chosen here, right? We can look under here, and we could see that there's a lot of actually some presets to look through. So you would, of course, be thinking about what would look well on your page if you were doing this. I think the purples, maybe some light purples. Hey, who knows? I could choose that, I suppose, if I wanted to. On the other hand, and then what would I do? On the other hand, though, I could do let's see, gradient, classic gradient. Those choices. Interesting. I have some other choices there I could choose and look through. So you can play with this as much as you want. This is going a gradient from left to right, and then I would click in here and drag. Oops, where am I? Gradient tool. Click and drag. and that makes my gradient go. Now, if I just click and drag a little bit, it's more one color than another. I probably would do something like that. On the other hand, I can click and drag from there to there, make it that way. How about a little click like that? So more like that, kind of like an angle. So you can play with that. So you can choose your color and go on. You could also choose some different choices here and play with it more. You can reverse it. You can whatever. Try some method here. Play with it and get what you want. So eventually you get what you want. And then you're going to apply the gradient. We're going to activate the text layer. So we're going to click on the text layer, but nothing's happened. It's because we have to change the order of these layers. I'm going to drag the text layer above the other layer there, and now it is there. Okay, good. And now we would just do the same thing. We're just going to save it again. That's all. We're going to do File, Save a Copy As. I'm going to call this Grad. Okay, and I'm just going to save this into my same folder. It's there already. And say OK. And then I'm going to go to the my file. I should open up the second file. Yes, there's two files, and just because you put one in each, that's all. And the same deal, right? Banner exercise. I should put my name in each one. And here's my SRC. By the way, I didn't do my alt last time. You should do your alt. It should just say Jack Downs banner there or something like that, right? So SRC is going to be GRAD. Oh wow, GRAD 26.png. I'll say banner. Okay, I'm going to go in here and tell the H1 to. All right. Okay. Customize so on and so forth. Put your text in. Use the IMG ID declaration. Set the image width to 100%. Okay. So this is the ID for the image, which is hashtag banner. Right. So let's say the width 100%, which is another way of doing this. So let's see how that works. And I screwed something up. Did I get the name wrong? Grad-26. Oh, I saved it as a JPEG. That was stupid. I told you not to do that. Luckily, I left it open still. Not a JPEG, a PNG. Okay. That makes more sense. And then, there we are. Okay. So the difference is, this is taking up my full width because it's set as a percentage. But it also means we don't have to worry about centering. And it means that it's going to be responsive. So if I want to do that, if I make the page smaller, but not make it go away completely, is the idea. So if I make the page smaller, well, narrower, it's going to get smaller at the same time. Well, we could put a maximum width and a minimum width in there. And maybe I don't want it to be fully that big. Maybe I want it to be 80% or something. You could change that too. But that's the general idea about how it will become flexible like that. So that one is complete also. So you would save that and then you zip up this thing and continue. I want to show you something else though. Get this out of the way here a little bit. I need some more paragraphs though to show you this. So this is not part of the exercise. This is part of something else. I'm going to go grab this paragraph here. I just got to get some more paragraphs, some more text here to show you something. Okay. All right. So I got some more text here. I'm going to put, and I'll show you what this looks like. Save it. Okay. Imagine that you have some some video or some audio from one of the services that you want to put on your page, maybe your samples page. Maybe you've got a bunch of videos you want to display or a bunch of pieces of audio. First of all, notice what I said. Although it is possible, and you read your textbook about how you could host it yourself, put that audio or video like into a folder in your root folder, and actually, I would suggest not to do that. It's okay, it'll work, but it's a really slow download, and honestly, some people in some places would have trouble viewing it because of some technicalities. There are services like YouTube, Vimeo, or for audio like SoundCloud, Stitcher, and many others that are for hosting videos and audios. Those are what you should use. So if you've got some video from a class that you made or something, or for fun, and you want to show it on your resume, on your samples page maybe, you first put it on YouTube or Vimeo or audio. You do it in one of the other places. So do that first, and then use their embed codes. But just to show you how the embed codes work, you just have to pause for a moment because there's something else going on. Be right. Okay, so let me go get that. I have some very boring stuff, some video, we got for YouTube. So I'm going to go to YouTube. Actually, this is a video of, what video is this? Yeah, this is a video of this exercise. Wow. On YouTube, you can just go to share and choose, that's not what I want. Here's my embed choice. Hold on. Well, I was looking right at it. Yeah, okay, so here is that. Yeah, I think I might have lost that video. I was just going to use. Anyway, I'll use this video. This is another video that I made for an exercise. So if I go to share, the first choice is embed. So embed is going to give me all this text here, all this code here. By clicking it, it'll automatically select. I'm not going to have it start in any particular place. There's really not many other options given here. I could show player controls, probably. Enable privacy enhanced mode. Yeah, I don't think I needed that. So I'm going to show player controls. I'm going to select this thing and copy it. So I'm going to take that is the player. You see this uses something called an iframe, which is an old web technology which essentially makes a window that the thing can show through. So let's go to my page here. And so imagining you're doing this for yours. I'm going to stick it right here. It has a width and a height. You can see that. And you can imagine how, if you kept it proportional, you could change those. It has a link. It has some other stuff in it, picture-in-picture web share, allow full screen, so on. So see if we can view it. So it has a video configuration error. That's interesting. Huh. It allows me to click on it and go to the video on YouTube. There's supposed to be usually a preview shown there. I do not know what the problem is, though. Huh. Anyway, it does make a player that you can use, but I will try to research that to figure it out. Hold on. Well, I'm reading that may very well be because of the way my cookies are set up or my cache is, so I could delete those or remove extensions. It's probably just a Chrome thing at this moment. It may not affect you or other people who are looking at your page. So I would say you should continue with this idea of using embedding like that from YouTube if you have YouTube videos. Let's go ahead and go on to something else. I got SoundCloud up right now, my SoundCloud channel, which I've got very little on. I've got one. I'll take this one. So I don't want to do that. I want to do a share on it, though. Okay, hold on. Okay, I guess the share button has changed, and that looks like I can download. So this is the share button. I click on share here. I have the choice to embed, and then I have a couple different players I could choose. This one looks like this, and this one looks like this. I'll choose that one. This one, of course, I have to pay to use, whatever. So I'll choose that one. And I'm going to take the code and I'll make sure it's all selected, and then I'll copy that code. I can change the color of it or other things. I can enable automatic play. All those things would change the code slightly. I'll go back to my document, and then I'm going to stick it in here. And stick it in. Now, it is another big chunk of stuff. It is another big iframe. It has a lot of code in it. It actually has a div as part of it. You could play with this stuff to change the size of it or whatever, of course. I'm going to save it. Let's view that one. And now that player is there embedded, and of course I could play it from here, the music that it is, or I could click on it and go to SoundCloud and listen to it there. Just like on this one, I could watch this on YouTube because I'm having some problems. Otherwise, then it does come up there. Okay, so that's the idea of embedding video or audio from one server to another. Get the embed link and just paste it into your HTML. All right, that's enough for today. See you later.